it's quite interesting to actually analyze the difference between the way that David Yates, the director for the fifth film, directs a Dementor attack and the horror of the Dementors compared to Alfonso Cuarón and the way he directed it in the third film. There's a different approach to it. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but it's quite an interesting approach, which is, you notice with Alfonso Cuarón, the way he directed it is, he has this horror element to it where he doesn't try to shock you into it. Like, he makes you quite aware very early on that you are going to be scared, that something bad is happening, there's something creepy going on, and you just are stuck in that moment.
Nothing. Someone's coming.
The train moves, and as it moves, they're all creeped out, and then the glass gets frozen, like it freezes up, and then the window freezes up, and you know bad things are happening, and the camera is from outside of the train flying into the train, and then they're like, oh, something bad is happening, and then Harry stands up, and there is a little bit of I suppose you could argue there's a bit of a jump scare, I guess, when they all stand up and they're all looking.
What's going on?
But it's not much of it's not like people get startled by it. It's more like I don't know, it's like just a beat in the action that is interesting, and you're it captures your attention. And then when the Dementor finally shows up, it slowly creeps, and you get to see the Dementor. First you see the silhouette of it, and you see the hand, and the hand is slowly reaching for the door handle and is opening it, and you end up not having this oh, something bad's about to happen, and then shock, the bad thing happened. It's more oh, something bad's about to happen. Oh, something bad is happening, and you can't leave. So it's more of that oh, you're stuck in the horror and then the door opens, and then the Dementor steps into the cabin and starts sucking on Harry's face. And but the approach here this is Order of the Phoenix, this is the fifth film, David Yates' film. The approach is different. First, they walk in, and there's this they're running. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Actually, I don't wanna do too much for copyright reasons. But basically, this is Harry over there. He runs with Dudley into this tunnel, and they're the lights start flickering, so you're oh, something creepy is about to happen, and then the light freezes. You can see the light starts to freeze up. Wait, here somewhere. Here you can see the light is starting to freeze. So if you've seen the film, the third film, which you're supposed to have seen, oh, Dementors, probably, you're getting hints of it, you're getting little bits of evidence for that happening. So you're immediately oh, something creepy is going on, you're on the edge, you're on your toes, and then, you get this moment of just here you get this moment of just boom, jump scare, immediate jump scare, and then you're stuck in the moment, instead of having the approach of oh, something bad is about to happen, oh, something bad is happening, oh, you're stuck in the moment. Here it's more what's going on, oh, something bad's about to happen, and then boom, you get startled. Neither is better than the other, people just have different preferences and stuff like that, but I find it quite interesting to analyze the differences. I do think it works actually quite well in this film, especially after my edit. What I did was I added in the Dementor theme from the third film, just to have that consistency. They have a theme, like in the Lord of the Rings. Those I'm blanking on the name of them. I don't know why I always blank on the name of these guys. Lord of the Rings Black Riders. Yeah, is that what it's called? Nazgul. Yeah, the Nazgul, the ring wraiths. So they have their own theme in the movies, and it's epic and it's this great thing, and like you know what they sound like, you know what they are, and it makes them even creepier because you're used to that theme, and you can hear the theme before you actually see them on screen, and you know that they have a presence there. And I wanted that as well. I wanted that type of musical consistency with Harry Potter because, you know, it's like John Williams, who composed the first 2 Harry Potter films. He also did Jaws, and Jaws also has this like musical motif that represents the shark, which everybody knows is, you know, like da-dum, 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 da. To the point where you can actually tell the story with the music when when the character in Jaws is on the boat and he just looks out onto the sea, and it's just empty sea, and then all of a sudden you start hearing the music. You don't have to see the shark. You just know, oh, the shark is there. It has a presence there, and it's all because the music is telling the story. And I want to try to. That's basically my vision. That's my goal with these edits, is to have this type of musical storytelling that is consistent throughout all these films. Because that's one of my biggest pet peeves, and it's one of the things I have a pet peeve as well with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers films. It's like they get a new composer for basically every single film, and so there's no like a musical consistency or identity, or you know, it's difficult to tell the story and hint at things to come and all that type of stuff with the music if you don't actually, you know, you never have the same guy coming in. But I wanted to do that with Harry Potter, and I think I've done a really good job. In this particular scene, I've added the Dementor theme that John Williams composed for the 3rd film, and it's like really this creepy, you know, unnerving theme, which is really great. And what I've done is I've removed the music that's actually in the scene, which was a bit of a difficult thing to do at first. You know, it takes a lot of like editing to do. And when I finally was happy with it, and I'm very, very detailed, very detail oriented in the way I do it. Like if it doesn't work, if it doesn't sound good, I scrap it and I just move on to the next scene, because I'm not, like, I don't want to ruin the scene by having something that kind of works and that kind of doesn't work. It has to actually work. And I do think this edit is perfect. Like, I genuinely think this edit is amazing. And what I've done is actually, I had the Dementor theme come in before the Dementors show up. Kind of like the Jaws idea of like, if the music shows up, then you know, oh, the Dementors are here. And then the light freezes, and you're creeped out a little bit before. And then when they finally show up, you get the full-on Dementor theme and everything. But what I wanted to actually comment on was later on in the scene when Harry takes out his wand and is actually able to like use the Patronus and get rid of the Dementor. Actually, one more thing before I say that. In the 3rd film, in this particular scene, there is this like aggressive, like screaming flute that you can hear when the Dementor is sucking on Harry's face, and it actually is supposed to represent like a woman screaming, because in the books and then also later in the film, Harry mentions he's like, did you hear that woman screaming? And Hermione's like, but no one was screaming, Harry. And in the books, we later figure out that like, oh, this was probably Harry's mom screaming, and probably on the day she died. So there's this like odd choice that they did with the 3rd film, where they just had a flute that sounded like a scream rather than actually taking the scream of Lily from the 1st film and adding it into the film. So what I've done with the 3rd film is I know I said I didn't do much for the first 3 films, but I did this particular detail where when she screams, no, I'm sorry, not when she screams, when Harry hears the flute, I didn't want to remove the flute or remove the sound effects that already were there. I do think that the flute and everything was very good and it sounds great, and the audio design of that film is amazing. But I figured out a way to add in Lily's scream from the 1st film. Just tiny, like, little detail on top of it, so that when he goes and he asks Hermione, like, hey, did you hear the woman screaming? it makes sense within the story. It's not just a flute or whatever, you know, like it actually makes sense because we also get to hear the scream. And because in the first film, what I've done is very subtly added in Ray Fiennes' voice, who plays Voldemort, in the scene when when Voldemort kills Lily. He has this like Avada Kedavra that he actually screams in the eighth film. In the eighth film, Deathly Hallows Part 2, when Harry goes through through Snape's memories, and he gets to see his memories, and he gets to see like Lily and Snape, and then we also get to see a little bit of Voldemort killing Lily, and they've added this like sound where they basically used the same sounds from the first film, but they added Ray Fiennes' voice on top of it, and I actually just took that and added that into the first film. So there's this like very subtle like. It worked. Like it may not sound, now that I'm describing it, it may not sound like a good idea, but it worked really well. And if you watch the film, it creates this consistency from the first film to the later films where Ray Fiennes actually is the voice of Voldemort, and he sounds like Voldemort, and it makes sense. So there's more of that consistency that they couldn't have done when they were making the movie, but I have the privilege of actually being able to do it now because of the technology and the time. I get to actually see the whole picture. I get to see how the series starts and how the series ends, so I can have these like little details of consistency between them in the musical edition. And what I've done is, like I said, I added that. So I added Lily's scream to The Prisoner of Azkaban. But here, there is no scream or anything. For some reason, in the actual Order of the Phoenix film, you just get the Dementor sucking on Harry's face, and then he just goes like, and then he gets the wand out and he hits the Dementor with the wand and it separates them. But what I've added in, I'm not sure about it this time around. I'm going to see if it works in the final edit or not. But the idea is that I'm going to add in the flute from the Prisoner of Azkaban, but very subtly, like it's about to start, so it's like this ramping up, which works with the music that I've added in as well from John Williams in the third film, where you get this like ramping up of like, you know, as he starts to suck on Harry's face, he's sucking on Harry's face, he actually, like the music is like building and building and building and building, and the flute also can help that, by you start to hear a little bit of the flute kind of building up, and then it cuts away. And so I'm going to add that. However, this time around, instead of actually adding in Lily's voice, her screaming, the idea was I was going to add in Cedric Diggory's voice screaming when he died, because I think it's thematically consistent to the scene and the scenes prior and the scene afterwards. The scene prior to this, Dudley makes fun of Harry for having nightmares and talking while he's sleeping about Cedric Diggory. So Cedric Diggory already has a mention in the beginning of the movie, and then Harry gets this moment, and then later on, when the Dudleys leave the home, Harry goes to sleep, and then you actually get to see like flashbacks of the nightmare that he's been having that Dudley mentioned in the beginning of the film. So you get this like consistency where you, after the scene, you see Diggory. Before this scene, you hear somebody mention him, and then in this scene, you actually hear him. So you go from mentioned, hear him, see him. So it's like this consistent, like, you know, setup and payoff and continuation. And I do think that actually works really well here, because it makes the fourth film matter in this film. Like, every single film that takes place, I'm sorry, not takes place, but yeah, it takes place. Every single film that you watch affects the next film. So anything that happens in the fourth film affects the fifth film, which affects the sixth film, which affects the seventh film. So it's this actual evolution of the story. So the story is continuing step by step, and you're not just having this like same conflict and same theme throughout the story. Even though obviously the theme of Harry's parents dying is a huge theme that does go throughout the entire story, I do think that if you just always, every time he's sad, all he's thinking about is just his parents, and it's the only thing he's ever sad about throughout the entire film series, it gets kind of stale. Like at a certain point, you're just like, dude, come on, move on. Like you're kind of one-dimensional. Not like I get it. Obviously, you know, you lose your parents and it's something you never really recover from. But I do think just for the film's sake, one thing happens, which leads to another thing happening, 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 and what happens next cannot happen unless the thing that happened before it happens. So it's like this purposeful storytelling where you have consequences for everything that happens. And I do think that adding him here, because he's obviously, it's consistent with the scenes that happened before and happens after, that he is having these nightmares about Cedric Diggory's death, and obviously seeing him die in front of him has had this effect where now his kind of the nightmare, the pain that the Dementor is bringing out of him has changed a bit because of this stage of his life, where it used to be his mom and now it has evolved and is now his friend who died in the last film. So I think that also makes Cedric Diggory's death more powerful because it has this like lasting consequence on Harry's conscience. And then most importantly, what I did after that, after the thing on his face, once Harry takes out his wand and like gets rid of the Dementor back here, but once he takes the wand out and then he does the Patronus here, and the light comes out and he gets rid of it. Here, what I've done is actually quite smart, if I say so myself, is this, I added a track here from John Williams, who composed the music from the third film. John Williams actually created the theme for the Patronus. He calls it the Patronus theme. And then he created a separate theme, which is Harry's Patronus theme, which is basically the same elements of the Patronus theme, but with an added window into the past, which is the theme in the third film for kind of Harry's parents and his memory of his parents. You know, we hear it when he looks at the picture of them that Hagrid gave him in the first film, and like slowly through the film it's set up that he has this like family memory theme, and then when he does the final Patronus in the third film, when he finally is able to do a Patronus so big that he's able to take out all these Dementors, it plays the Patronus theme with his family theme on top of it, telling you through the music that what the memory that he has conjured up to be able to cast this huge Patronus is a memory of his parents. So John Williams is telling you what he's thinking through the music subconsciously. So they don't ever actually have to tell you, like, oh, you know, I was thinking about my parents. Like, no, you hear it through the music. He was thinking about his parents, which I think is great storytelling-wise. And as I said before in the video, what makes John Williams so great is his ability to tell you information and the ability to set up things and his just storytelling capabilities through the music. And here what I've done is I've actually taken an alternate track of the Patronus theme, which wasn't used for the third film. So I've actually been able to get my hands on a couple of tracks from John Williams from the third film and in the second film and the third film that were never used. Some of it is just original music that wasn't used, and some of it is alternate versions of themes. So obviously, when you're a film composer and you compose music for a movie, you try different things, and you throw things at the wall just to see what sticks. And this was one version of the Patronus theme that could have happened. And what's interesting about it is that it's quite similar to the actual Patronus theme, but with slight differences. And what you also realize is that the choir, the male choir that was used, is the exact same voices and the exact same, in the same studio, same recording, probably recorded on the same day as the actual Patronus theme and the actual Dementor theme. So it's not like, oh, we're taking this music that is composed by John Williams, but we're getting different voices to voice it. It's like, no. This is the exact same choir as the Patronus theme. So it's this amazing thing where I feel like it is able to trick people into thinking that John Williams actually worked on this film and was actually evolving the themes that he already composed in the movie. So obviously often when film composers make music for a movie and then they go and do this sequel or then what happens is they take pieces that they've composed before and then they evolve them, they change them as the story progresses, and they try to tell the story with the music and the evolution of the music. And by having this thing, which sounds like the Patronus theme, which is so similar to the Patronus theme, but is also like an alternate version of it and it's a bit different, it makes you feel like, oh, actually John Williams came back and actually composed this particular piece of music that is consistent with what he's composed before, to add a little bit of a new element to the scene, and it works so well. Like, the idea of it, I originally thought was, oh, it's a really good idea. Let's see if it actually works. Let's see, because the execution is obviously what matters most, and the execution is so good. The execution is great, and the music that I've added in here, actually, I'm really pleased with it. I should probably show you, but I don't know if I'll get copyrighted. Let me just, I'll play it a little bit, okay? Oh, sorry. Here. I hope I don't actually get copyrighted for this. But if I do, then... Yeah. And then the music ends there. So it's like this very similar, but also different. And it kind of evolves. It's like, you feel like the music is evolving with the story, and I think that works really well. And I've got a lot of examples of that in the film and in the edits that I've made, where you're like, I hope people don't really think about it too much when they're watching it, and that they just feel like, oh, this works. This is actually consistent with the story that is being told. And I think this particular scene works really well, and I've also done other things in this film and in later films, but it's not ready yet. I'm still working on it. I'm gonna end it here, and I hope that you guys continue with me on this journey and actually come and watch me work on it more and more. And once it's ready, it's gonna be available for all you guys to watch. So just look in the description of all the videos of this series. I'll make a playlist of all the videos in this particular series where I'm talking just Harry Potter and talking about my edit of Harry Potter. And subscribe and like also.